I'm going to keep pushing on it just because I think it's interesting and I think it's important. So I'm trying to channel, and so again, I'm not trying to say there's a right or wrong necessarily in this. I think it's an exploration, but I'm trying to channel a viewpoint that would push on that. And you know, you said the word shame and guilt, which I think are important words and the right words, because I think you're right in how you explain that. Now, there's part of that that's implicit in what you want to do about that, which is to say, I don't want them to feel that shame and guilt. I want them to feel better. And I think for a lot of people, particularly in our society today, there's this sense of like vulnerability, making people feel too good, toxic positivity, whatever direction you want to go with it. Like that's actually the problem. We need more left brain. We're trying to coddle kids and we're trying to make them feel good and they should never feel shame or guilt. Like, no, they should, right? There's this view of like, that's life. They need to go through that. And that's the argument against the softer stuff, right? We're teaching them a world that doesn't actually exist. And we're better off preparing them, even if it's painful, even if they're suffering, they're better off getting accustomed to what the world really is. And I'll layer one more point on it, and hopefully it's not too meta and big picture, but you could go a step further where people would say, and actually the reason why we've become so left brain as a society is because it's functional. That's actually what works. It would be great if we lived in a utopia where everybody could do it their own way. But if we want to exist and we want to grow and we want to expand and create new medicines and feed 8 billion people, even though we're not doing that today, we need structure. We need everybody to kind of move in unison in that way. Again, I'm not saying that's right, but there is kind of that viewpoint. Let's keep kind of going down that thread. Is there any validity to that? Is there truth? Is it no, that's missing the point in some ways? What's kind of your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, my first response is that why do we have to think that it's an either or? You know, and I think that's where I don't think it's either we're in structure, rigidity, control, motivating kids by guilt and fear of failure and shame, you know, or we're coddling them. I just don't buy into that either or system anymore. And I do think that there are miracle worker teachers out there, because I have seen them, who are striking that balance in their classrooms, right? Who it's not about either or. And I think that I think when people get caught in that mentality of like, we're coddling kids too much, it's out of fear because we're seeing these rising rates of anxiety and depression in teenagers and young adults, and this movement to kind of like pull back, drop out, avoid responsibilities. And out of that fear, we want to control more. And what I'm saying is, I'm a fan of structure, and I'm a fan of having kids understand what they're feeling and learn tools and strategies to regulate so that they can feel better. I have nothing against positivity and happiness. I don't know. I kind of like it. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to live in this world if I don't get to feel happiness and positivity. Not all the time. That's just not realistic.
Well, that's interesting, because I wonder if that's not part of it. And I'm sure it is to some extent, where for a lot of us, and even us, like there's older generations that feel like, but I didn't get to live in that world. Like for me, I didn't get to be happy as much as I wanted to be. And either they blindly just assume that's not real life, or maybe worse, they deliberately say, if I didn't get to have it, you shouldn't get to have it. And I don't want you having it. And that's kind of a cynical view on the world, but I think there's some truth to that aspect of it if we look at it.
Well, yeah. And that's like, and on a, I mean, that's just like what would I say about that? Like, it's so interesting to me the way that our brains function the same way that our societies function, right? So like, it's just, if that's the negativity bias, but being expressed outward through how we treat each other. You know, that because this was horrible for me, I want to protect you from it by giving you a bunch of negative self-talk so that you can get yourself straight and stay safe, right? So like, which is why that's where negative self-talk comes in, is that's how we try to motivate ourselves, is like by saying like, oh, you're not good enough. I'm just saying my own, right? Like you're not organized enough. You don't do work quickly enough. Like that's my negativity bias trying to get me to work more efficiently and be better. So it's just trying to protect me. And I just think we can balance that out.